6 Minutes starts now.
He's about to head overseas again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It'll be his second foreign trip. President Trump about to take off and go to Poland.
Will they differ on the one issue that matters most, and that is Russia? Poland, of course, very wary of Russia. It wants President Trump to really reconfirm his commitment to NATO, especially the alliance's military buildup in Eastern Europe, where right now there are about 1,000 U.S. troops.
Fox's Kristen Fisher in Warsaw. President Trump will have his first face-to-face meeting with Russian President Putin on Friday at a G20 summit of world leaders in Germany. The president tweeted before he left, the U.S. has made some of the worst trade deals in world history. And then he wrote, trade between China and North Korea grew almost 40% in the first quarter. So much for China working with us. This after North Korea test launched its longest range missile yet, condemned by the U.S. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, U.S. Pacific Command says the missile flew for nearly 40 minutes and reached a height of 1,500 miles, leading experts to conclude it could have reached a target 4,000 miles away, putting Alaska in its crosshairs. U.S. Ambassador to Australia James Caruso says President Trump wants to further isolate Pyongyang.
By doing these nuclear tests and launching these missiles, there are consequences.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson vowing the U.S. would never accept a nuclear-armed North Korea. The UN Security Council meets this afternoon to discuss how to deal with North Korea, already one of the most sanctioned countries on the planet. Dave.
Rachel, a New York City police officer's dead, ambushed after midnight.
So this is an absolutely unprovoked attack.
Police Commissioner James O'Neill says Mia Sota's familiar was shot in the head as she sat in a police command vehicle in the Bronx.
She was a 12-year veteran of the NYPD and assigned to the 46th precinct. According to police, due to gang problems in the area, the command vehicle had actually been parked at the location since March.
Melissa Edazadi with Fox 5 TV. Cops found the suspect about a block away with a gun. He was shot and killed. Fox News, fair and balanced.
With Quicken Loans, our simple process helps you understand all the details so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage. Call 800-QUICKEN or go completely online with Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.875%, APR 4.23%. Call 800-QUICKEN or get started online at rocketmortgage.com. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Home isn't just a place. It's a feeling that you're safe to enjoy the things that matter most. ADT lets you take that feeling with you. Whether you're at home, your business, or online, we help keep you safe. With security systems, home automation, alarms, and surveillance. So you can feel at home wherever you are. Go to ADT.com to get that feeling for less than $1 a day. ADT. Home. Safe home.
What will you remember most about the first government shutdown in 11 years? Probably not much, since it was over a long holiday weekend many didn't notice. If you were unable to renew a license or a registration at the MVC because of the shutdown, they're granting you a 2-day extension. Offices are open today. Last Friday, Governor Christie said don't count on it when asked if furloughed state workers would be paid for days they were forced off the job by the shutdown. But after the budget was resolved, he indicated they may not lose pay.
We'll have to go and take a look at that and talk to the legislature about it. Because there's nothing budgeted for us to do that at the moment. But we'll talk to the legislature about what we can do about today.
Christie says he filed a letter with the Civil Service Commission to ensure workers would receive a paid holiday. At the former Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, everything must go. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., everything from chandeliers to poker tables will be auctioned off. The final step before the hotel is gutted and remade into a Hard Rock casino, which will open Memorial Day of next year. I'm Eric Scott, and this is the Town Square News Network.
Easing back from the holiday with a pretty pleasant day for early July. Early clouds melt away to sun this afternoon. Temperatures will get up into the mid-80s in many areas, but hold in the 70s for the Jersey Shore and in the northwest corner. Clouds increase again overnight, lows in the mid to upper 60s, and that will lead into some rain tomorrow. Showers and thunderstorms, with highs mostly approaching 80, though again cooler along the shoreline. Friday, the showers and thunderstorms become scattered, partly to mostly cloudy, highs in the 80s again. I'm Patrick Lavery.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. Welcome back. Chuck Malamut is here. He is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck, as I do. 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. The following program is presented by Chuck. He is a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member SIPC. The day after our Independence Day, Brother Chuck, welcome to your program. Good morning.
Harry, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Did you have a nice...
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice to get your headset out for you, wouldn't it, Chuck? Would you like a headset? Or
it would be helpful, but we can kind of go with the flow in the meantime. Harry, I was actually, I guess, impressed, but maybe at the same time a little bit disappointed that maybe in the 9 o'clock hour, the haters will come out.
Chuck, I got to tell you, I mean, based on the hundreds of comments on my Facebook page, I was waiting to get absolutely eviscerated. But you know me. I want to give people a fair chance. I'm going to read my commentary again at 9:05, and I know this audience will not disappoint. But it is one of those things, Chuck, where the truth isn't always popular. To be honest, the truth is not always the popular view. And sometimes it would be much easier to just take the easy way out, and I chose on this occasion, after I saw cruel cartoon after cruel meme, cruel comment on top of bad comments, I decided, you know what? Number one, yes, I am a loyal friend, and Chuck, of all people, you know that we go back 40 years or whatever it's been. I couldn't sit back and say nothing. There was no way I was going to pile on and say that the governor did anything wrong, because he was waiting for the Democrats to get a budget, and he did what he did with his family in his own backyard. I mean, what is the national, international scandal here? A lot of people wanted there to be one.
Well, I think it created, in someone else's world, it created news.
Yeah,
and
fake news.
As you read the article, you kind of chuckle, and then you saw some of the pictures, and right, wrong, or indifferent, the governor's term is coming to an end. You might have liked what he accomplished, maybe did not like, or a combination thereof. And there was, in 8 years, there are a number of things that are going to go right and some that are going to go wrong. So
you do raise a very good point, because he's down to 6 months or so. There's a lot of brave people that come out when somebody's almost gone that wouldn't have had anything to say if this was at the halfway point or before that. This would not be much unlike just picking anybody out of the crowd and paying an airplane to fly over their house and then take aerial pictures of them in their own backyard. And almost, how dare you? Chuck, did you have a pool party or anything going on at your mansion this past weekend?
We had some friends and folks and family over.
Small, very humble abode. We had a wonderful. Notice I'm calling you a mansion, me. Small.
Yeah, but Harry, I must have missed the invite for your place. So.
Because it's a standing order. You have a pool pass.
Okay.
I want everybody to know Chuck Malamut has a lifetime swimming pool pass to the Ponderosa. And Chuck, I have to say, I was the chef. And I am a mean griller. I'm getting better. I mean, I'm telling you, everybody was going crazy over my cheeseburgers, my barbecue chicken. Hot dogs were perfect. We had an amazing Saturday barbecue, Chuck. Thank God no news network hired an airplane to fly over my pool and take pictures of me at the grill, because there would have been something like, he's not writing his column, or he's not at the radio station. It's a pool party. I can't believe this. In his own backyard. I mean, this is what they did to our governor.
Well, Harry, look, perfect weather, great weekend. I mean, it was strange having a holiday on a Tuesday. I woke up this morning, I'm sure a lot of your listeners and family members woke up and said, okay, it's Monday, and it's really Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was
crazy.
It was just very strange, but I'm awfully curious to find out the results of what happened in Atlantic City this weekend.
I have a friend that I hope is going to text me even this hour, because I think that the city did well. One thing that was good, at least for 7 days, it's built in that the casinos didn't have to close. Could you imagine if they would have done that again? And these people would have been willing to do that. Let me comment about something real quick, and this brings it sort of into the financial realm. And Chuck has an incredibly full schedule here for his show. None of this was on it. But I was thinking about the fact that it's been 11 years since we had the shutdown. That was a debacle. That hurt tourism and people, making plans to come to Atlantic City during the July 4th weekend because they don't want to be disappointed. That hurt us for years to come. I am hoping that didn't start all over again because, in fairness, I mean, things were closed. People that would want to go to the World War II Lookout Tower in Cape May or some of the other parks that are state-run. This was totally unnecessary and disgraceful. And I don't blame the governor. He can't sign a budget that's not in his hands.
Yeah, and Harry, if you look at the state of Illinois, where it's even more difficult in getting a budget signed, I mean, I think what happened here pales in comparison to what can potentially happen out there. So, New Jersey, Illinois, fiscally speaking, if you look at those particular states, you sort of rank them. What you're going to find is that Illinois and New Jersey are ranked either 48, 49, or 49, 50, and that's a result of having this runaway budget that never seems to get under control. And the fact of what happened in New Jersey was, getting the appropriate people to the table, to negotiate and to sign a budget. At least that's a step forward because from everything I'm seeing and reading, it's not the case right now in Illinois, and
they're in trouble.
Yeah, I mean it.
I mean, we're talking insolvent.
Well, I mean, you've seen the debt be downgraded at the state level, and if you have an insured municipal bond from the state of Illinois or from a particular county. You should be in good shape as you look at like Puerto Rico, for instance. If you had an insured bond in Puerto Rico and it came to term and it matured, you got paid, you got your interest. An uninsured piece of paper, you're sitting there with a loss of principal, potentially 40, 50, 60% of what your investment was. So that, I guess, when you sort of bring it full circle, the do-it-yourselfers, especially in the fixed income arena, if you really better understand what you're doing, because there are a lot of potholes that you need to stay away from, to make sure your assets are fully protected.
Well stated, Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program, the Hurley in the Morning charity, and many, many of you that understand that Chuck has perfected with his team, the Malamut Group, your financial planning needs based upon a very prudent strategy of proper investments, proper diversity. And you can find out all about Chuck's principles in these areas by dialing 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes. This portion of our program brought to us in part by the Harbor Pines Golf Club, owned by the legendary Gerwicks family. They are the exclusive golf club for the Hurley in the Morning program, the Harry Hurley Charity Golf Open, which we're already set for next June 15th of 2018, which will be our 11th annual Charity Golf Open, and it would be our third year at the Harbor Pines Golf Club. We had a spectacular 10th annual. We raised more than $50,000. We're still collecting. Matter of fact, we'll collect a couple thousand more this week, and I think that number is going to go over 55,000. This portion of Hurley in the Morning I mentioned brought to you by the Harbor Pines Golf Club, the home of Lobster Fest Friday, this Friday, from 5 to 9 p.m., the unbeatable $27 lobster tail dinners. They have additional lobster favorites, live music, deluxe salad bar, $5 martinis, selected appetizers and dinner specials, and you do have to reserve. Reservations are required. Simply dial the grill room at 609-927-0006, extension 19. Tell them that I sent you. One last favor. Next time you're going to go play golf at Harbor Pines, do not call 927-0006. Do not stop by. You're certainly welcome to stop by and enjoy the grill room. They have lunch all morning, all evening, afternoon, evening long. But make your tee time reservations from the website. And I'm going to tell you why. When you go to harborpines.com and you click on the speed button hyperlink to book a tee time, there'll be a box as you're putting your name and pertinent information about the size of your party and everything that you're going to be doing in terms of your golf and carts and all of that. When you see the box that says promo code, put in my first name, Harry, Harry, and instead of paying 100%, you will only pay 85% of the tab. That is a great thing. And when you stop in, tell them that I sent you Hurley in the morning.
For nearly 4 decades in the Ducktown section of Atlantic City at the corner of Arctic and Georgia Avenues, Angeloni's 2 Restaurant and Lounge has featured the finest Italian-American cuisine in Atlantic City, preparing all meals to order. Lunch is served Monday through Friday, dinner is served 7 nights a week. Every Monday, Angeloni's 2 presents the most interesting Monday nights. Mondays at the bar from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., featuring $2 Dos Equis beer, $2 Miller & Miller Lite, $5 New Amsterdam martinis, $5 appetizers, and additional complimentary food will be served on the hour. The food will change weekly, at times even hourly. Happy to report Mama Angeloni Sundays.
It's in effect from 4 to 7 p.m. on non-holiday Sundays. So when we have the major holidays, and there have been a few of them, July 4th weekend, before that, Father's Day, and whenever there's a major holiday, Mama Angeloni's takes that one day off and comes back strong the next Sunday. Sundays from 4 to 7 p.m., an incredibly priced 4-course meal at Angeloni's 2.
Your home all over again. Seashore Construction. For roofing, siding, decks, and so much more. Seashore Construction. No job is too big or small. Seashore Construction.
There are a lot of things you love in life. You love the crack of a baseball bat at a baseball game. You love that adorable puppy on your sister's Facebook page. But this summer, get ready to fall in love with your home all over again as Seashore Construction celebrates the 50th anniversary of the Summer of Love. Do you love the look of your home? Seashore Construction has been in business since 1980, making people's homes look like new again. Take advantage of groovy finance deals from Seashore Construction and only spend about $80 a month on a new roof. How about a new deck for the season? Grill out, lay out, and chill out for about $160 a month. Or beautiful new siding, about $125 a month. Go to SeashoreConstruction.com and fall in love with your home all over again.
Fall in love with your home all over again. Seashore Construction.
Are you putting your money into an IRA, pension, or 401k? Then I hope you're prepared to lose 30, 40, 50% or more of your retirement savings, because it's not a question of if the market crashes again. It's a question of when. It's going to happen. Did you know there is a way you can protect and grow your wealth safely and predictably every single year? The people using this approach didn't lose a penny when the market crashed in 2000 or 2008, and they won't lose a penny in the next crash. In fact, their money will continue to grow safely year in and year out, even when stocks, real estate, and other investments tumble. A free report detailing this savings program is now available. This free report shows how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your retirement in the Wall Street casino. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement. It far outperforms any IRA or 401k. To get this free report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com. Bankonyourself.com.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. Welcome back. 19 minutes past the hour. Chuck Malamut is here. He is and I strongly encourage that you make him your official financial advisor. He is the managing director of the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office, and you can reach Chuck and the Torpedo and the whole team at 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010 for all of your financial planning needs. Chuck, the Dow Jones Industrial Average has hit yet another all-time high. What's our market update?
Well, Harry, it's interesting because now we're continuing to see some rotation where the red-hot NASDAQ, which was the best-performing index year-to-date, we're starting to see, I don't want to call it a crack, but a little bit of seepage, so to speak, coming out of that market. And
Let me ask you a fundamental question about that. Is the NASDAQ more of a leading indicator and the Dow Jones Industrial Average more of a lagging indicator?
No, they're both leading indicators,
okay,
Harry. But as you know, the NASDAQ, technology, biotechnology, really big move year to date in the Dow Jones and the S&P did not keep pace. So what is happening now, there's been a fair amount of movement, and you're starting to see a lot of attention given to the financials. As you know, the stress test, all the banks passed, recently, and a lot of them increased their dividends and at the same time increased their share buyback. So, Morgan Stanley increased the overall allocation to financials and did some reductions, particularly like in the healthcare world. But if you look at, global equities, across the board last week, Harry, they were down, ever so slightly because, as you know, there was a lot of chatter coming from the central banks regarding the monetary stimulus and the actual potential scaling back. So the 10-year bond that we always talk about that was sitting at around a 2.15 made a big move almost to a 2.30, 2.29 in basically in a week. And you don't see 15 basis point movement like that very, very quickly.
What does that mean?
Well, that means that, if you take a look as to what happened, the fact of the matter is that a lot of the noise that was coming out, from the central banks indicated saying, we're going to sort of maybe tighten the spigots here a little bit. And that immediately, put some pressure on the bond market. And you think about, we've always talked about the yield curve, and the yield curve becoming flat, and the yield curve potentially becoming inverted, and what usually happens after an inverted yield curve. But it looks like for now we're not going to get to that inverted yield curve with that 10-year making a move that it did, over the last week.
Question for you, Chuck, because your instincts about this kind of question, you've always been, in my estimation, in more than a decade and a half that we've been doing this program together, your instincts have been very, very good, consistently very, very good. This sounds to me, when I hear you use the accurate language of describing what the Fed is doing, and I could go a little bit beyond what you just said today and share what you've said in recent episodes of the Malamut program, and that is when they're putting us in an interest rate increase environment, so they're raising interest rates, and now if they're doing what you just said in today's narrative, they're trying, as a layperson, I can only conclude they're trying to slow our economy down, which I think is just terrible.
If you look, generally speaking, at the economy, and it depends upon what data points you look at, the economy is better than it was a year ago, generally speaking, but we don't think it's better than it was 3 or 6 months ago, if that makes any sense.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense, which hopefully means that the Fed will look at what is and not what they want to do, what they had planned to do. That's one thing I will say over the prior 8 years. Every time they were about to raise interest rates, and you and I had program after program where at different times it looked like the fundamentals were sound and that they were there in order to support a rate increase of some kind, whether it's 25 basis points or whatever it would be. But then all of a sudden, things would change and something would happen and the markets would have a different sort of trajectory. And then I believe they wisely put the brakes on and didn't do the increases. I would hope they would monitor what's actually happening now and play that same kind of strategy.
Well, Harry, the futures are indicating that at least currently, that the next rate hike is probably not going to be until March.
Good, because there shouldn't be one right now.
We'll see. We'll see if that pans out because the Fed has several meetings before the end of the year, and as you know, the Fed at any point in time can basically pull the trigger on an ad hoc basis and make a decision. Here's what we're going to do with respect to interest rates, and you've seen that happen before.
Yeah. Here's another thing that I think is very healthy, and I think it goes to your next topic for your program this morning, Chuck, and that is that in the past we saw a lot of revisions downward, which always led me to believe that the numbers were a little fishy, and then when they were reviewed further, they seemed to always be revised downward. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I would say that lately all the revisions have been going upward.
They have, Harry, and actually what happened last Thursday, the quarter was Q1 was revised higher to 1.4% annual rate, and that's based on the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis. They reported this, and that's up from the 1.2% reading that we had in the what I'll call the first revision. Now, that's a result of improved consumer spending was the main driver of that number. The initial Q1 reading, Harry, released in April, remember, was less than 1%. It was that anemic 0.7%. So think about, with the two revisions, you've gone from 0.7 to 1.4 annual rate. That's certainly not even close as to where we need to be. Remember, during the campaign, the number 3% was thrown out as a target. So, we have a lot of work to do to get to that number at this point in time.
Very impressive, Chuck. And I trust your instincts on all these. It served you well for decades and us as a program. Oil in a trading range that I think is interesting and lower than we've seen in past comparisons, but also while it's trading within a certain range, oil is historically, for the summertime, when you consider the markets in California and some of the other places where they have these blends that are expensive and onerous, and during the summer months, usually the price of a gallon of gasoline is spiking up during the summer. We've seen it coming down.
Well, Harry, I think we said either last week or the week before that there was a fair amount of distress in the oil and oil related type companies, and what has transpired is actually we've seen a positive movement up, most recently with the price of oil, and there's been somewhat of what I'll call a relief rally, but it looks as if because you have that old adage, supply and demand factors in place here. The global oil supply glut really hasn't eased as quickly as everyone had anticipated, but we do expect as we get into the second half of the year that we're going to see a reduction in global oil inventories, which is going to push, we think oil prices a little bit higher. But right now we're sort of in a narrow trading range. And think about the comment you just made, but believe it or not, the price at the pump, nationally speaking, last week was at $2.29. A year ago, we were at $2.33.
All right, so it's
not
dramatic, but wouldn't it usually be up though?
Yeah. Now, what happened was the price at West Texas Intermediate was at $48.25 a year ago versus $46 at the end of last week.
And I know that, Chuck, I know the average is important because if you're having a national discussion, it's all just put into the stew and you have this one number. But we know there are states where it's under $2 a gallon. We're at just my little ma-pa corner store in Scoville, EHT, we're at $2.19 for a gallon of regular gasoline. And keep in mind, in fairness to that, the 23 cents on top of that, we'd be under $2 without the new sales tax.
We would be, Harry. And I think, again, what's interesting is that oil at the end of West Texas at the beginning of the year was at just short of $54. So you think about that move down to 46, the price, and here's what I find pretty remarkable. The price at the pump, June a year ago, $2.33. December of last year, $2.31. Currently to $2.29. So the price of the pump has barely budged, and you've had these sort of, I don't want to call wild swings, but swings with the price of West Texas, $48 June a year ago, $54 in December, $46 now. Wow. So that's going to obviously have an impact. The price of West Texas is going to have an impact on energy and energy-related stocks. So, Harry, as you would expect, the worst performing sector of the S&P 500 through last week was energy, down 12.6%. However, the week of, as oil was starting to move back up, energy was the second best sector, up less than, just 0.6%. Now,
it is interesting.
A week doesn't make a market.
When we do well, they don't do as well. When they do well, we're paying higher.
Well, look, there's, oftentimes, companies, look for lower oil prices because that's going to increase, their profitability.
Right.
But the energy companies will suffer as a result of that. So,
because when oil prices are down, more people fly, more people drive and take these trips and so on. 30 minutes past the hour. Let's get our halftime break in, Chuck. We're going to come right back. And I do know this. Morgan Stanley has some incredibly talented market data research people. And Chuck is no slouch in his own right. When it comes to financials, Chuck is going to talk about a perfect storm that may be brewing when we come back. This portion of our program also brought to us by the Atlantic City Jitney Association. They are literally one of the longest-running transit companies in American history. Since 1915, consecutively, they have been in business. They deploy, operate 190 jitneys, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The Atlantic City Jitney Association offers a variety of distinct customer services, including regular route service, rail terminal service, airport transportation to and from Atlantic City International Airport. And I have to say, I love utilizing, we exclusively do this. To me, it makes no sense, and especially if you're traveling with multiple family members, to be bringing 3 or more cars to the airport, ACY, parking them there, paying for them per diem by the day, and keeping your car in your own driveway, your own garage in front of your home, off street if that's where you park. To me, there's value in your home, having the appearance that you're not gone. Just so many reasons, not to mention, I believe it's convenient and also cost-effective when you consider everything. And you don't have to worry about parking your car and leaving it at the airport for days and days. The Atlantic City Jitney Association provides you with safe, reliable door-to-door service to reserve. Do as I do, not as I say, but as I do. Twice this year already. We're once again in August and once again in November. This year, we're probably going to set a record for the amount of times that we've utilized the Atlantic City Jitney Association's customized transportation services that they offer you and yours. 609-646-8642 to reserve. And remember, they're on the World Wide Web at jitneyac.com. Back with Chuck Malamut in a few minutes. More of Your Financial Matters with Chuck. And a reminder for all of your financial planning needs, turn to the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. Literally for all of your financial planning needs. The full gamut. Retirement planning, vacation building, college planning, any type of investment strategy. Full range of the financial services and advice from Chuck Malamut and his group, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley Northfield, 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010.
Tired of going on Facebook and seeing nothing but pictures of kittens and your crazy relatives complaining about everything under the sun? Be sure to like WPG Talk Radio 104.1 on Facebook to get South Jersey news, weather, and information right on your newsfeed. It's the local information you need at your fingertips every time you go on Facebook. Visit the WPG Talk Radio 104.1 Facebook page at the top of WPGTalkRadio.com.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
The
insane inflatable 5K is coming to town in just a few weeks, and you and your crew are invited to the bounce party. Fitness can be fun as you bob, weave through ball maze and crash course and get your bounce and slide on with the wall, wrecking balls, and 7 additional inflatables. Check it out and register early to take advantage of special savings at insaneinflatable5k.com.
Each inflatable obstacle is unique, challenging, and most importantly, fun. Don't miss the Insane Inflatable 5K run Saturday, July 8th at Bader Field in Atlantic City.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-276-1640. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-276-1640. Lou is one of you and will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-276-1640. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Call Term Provider, speak with Big Lou, and save on term life. Call 800-276-1640. 800-276-1640.
Hi, this is Assemblyman Chris Brown. Join me on WPG each month to talk about the issues important to you and our hard-working families in Atlantic County. This is Assemblyman Chris Brown, and now back to my friend Harry Hurley.
Thank you very much. It's 37 minutes past the hour. Chuck, I mentioned that, and I don't say this to be kind or to be gratuitous, but Morgan Stanley really does have fantastic market research people. And I know you're going to be talking about the perfect storm, if you will, in our financials. What do you mean by that?
Well, Harry, if you take a look at financials last week, they were actually up 3.3% for the week, the best performing sector within the S&P 500. But even saying that, year to date, they are sort of at the tail end or the bottom one-third with respect to overall performance. Financials are up a little bit less than 7% versus, the number one performer of, technology, followed by healthcare, followed by consumer discretionary. But so as we mentioned before, with what is happening with the central banks and what is happening with the Fed, the more normalization process that we're seeing with respect to what is happening with all the financials. Financials, Harry, have lagged the S&P 500 virtually for this entire market cycle. The underperformance got worse when the Fed put in, QE in 2009, and then more stringent regulations that went in 2011. So since 2009, the cumulative underperformance versus the rest of the S&P is about 25%. The Fed, as you indicated, as we've chatted about, they are determined to normalize monetary policy. The yield curve, needs to become steeper. Commodity prices continue to stabilize, and all the capital stress tests that were just performed last week had much better than expected results. So that's going to increase dividend payouts from a lot of these banks and the stock buyback. So as a result, we think financials, Harry, have a tendency to maybe at this point in time become more of a leader within the market and less of a laggard. So, and if that does happen, historically speaking, financials always, when they lead the way, you have a very, very successful, positive marketplace. So we think, overall, when you look at the group, so to speak, stock buybacks and dividend increases, anywhere from 8 to 10 to 12%. So, how you factor that in, and the fact, believe it or not, in Europe, bank recapitalizations are in the works in Italy and Spain. You've had a sustained rebound in global financials as well. So that's further evidence that post-crisis period is where we looked at is ending, and the economic cycle is becoming more normal. Creating a self-sustaining backdrop for that sector, that being financial. So, we think that at this point in time, you should consider an overweight in financials, and maybe do some trimming back in some of the other sectors at this point in time.
Chuck, you mentioned about the central banks. Anything further on that, or did you cover that?
No, I think we covered that, Harry.
And this is one that I think is very educational for your listeners, Chuck, and that is the issue of ex-spouse and Social Security.
Yeah, so Harry, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about Social Security, and we oftentimes talk to clients that are looking to get their retirement plan in place, and one of the first questions that we ask is, well, what is your projected Social Security payments? When are you going to receive it? What is is your full retirement age 65, 6, or 7, whatever it may be? And I can't tell you. Oftentimes we get sort of that blank stare, and they say, well, I don't get the mail anymore. And I think what your listeners need to really do every year, much like they do their tax returns, is go to ssa.gov and make certain and to check on what your Social Security projected payments are going to be, because if they're not correct, you need to take the time, because you're going to have to take the time to get this done, because the government's not going to do this. But to make certain that your Social Security payments are accurate, that your earnings have been reported effectively.
And it also, Chuck, I do follow your advice. I do check it out, because it will give you, if you continue to contribute at this level for this number of years, that when you hit either this age, if it's the minimum, age that you could start collecting 62, or if you go until, depending on how old you are, a lot of people these days are now 66 and 67 years and beyond, it will tell you how much you will be receiving. That's important to know.
And if you think about, Harry, if you look at mortality today, and I'll get back to the ex-spouse in a second. Since 1940, the life expectancy at birth of a U.S. citizen has increased by 1 year every 13 years. So think about how many years have transpired since 1940. So we're living longer, and as a result of that, even though the government several years ago pushed out the quote retirement age to like 66 or 67. If you can afford to wait to take your Social Security at what is referred to as full retirement age, and based on projected mortality, that is the right thing. That is the correct thing to do.
Because you will receive substantially more each month.
Social Security increases on average from, say, 62 to age 66 about 8% per year. And you can't get those kinds of returns. But a divorce, let's go back to the ex-spouse. So a divorced spouse is eligible for the same spousal benefit and the same survivor benefit from Social Security as a still married spouse, if that previous marriage lasted more than 10 years. And I think a lot of people don't really understand that. So I think what's important is that, nobody, believe me, you don't want to go down to Social Security. I'm sure we went not too long ago for another family member, and it was a little painful, but if you make the appointment, you're going to be seen hopefully relatively close to your appointment time. Which takes me to the next point, Harry, that I think is, I know it's July 4th week. Everybody had a great holiday. We celebrated with family and friends, and it wasn't July 4th. It was Independence Day.
Thank you.
Okay, that a friend of mine talked about earlier this morning.
Good listener.
This, to me, is scary. 52% of U.S. households with people that are at least age 55 had no money saved.
Correct.
In any pre-tax defined contribution account, like at a 401k or an IRA. Now, you think about that, and the money that all of us, well, not to say all of us, but the money that gets wasted on activities that I don't think are particularly necessary to enhance one's lifestyle.
Yeah.
But
or even, Chuck, people that don't take advantage of it with their employer, and these would be pre-tax dollars. You would not even – you could structure it, which you know this all too well, but I want people to understand this. You could structure it so that your net pay does not change, yet these pre-tax dollars could be yours and they would be growing as you continue to work towards retirement.
Harry, we forgot a couple things. Dollar cost averaging, long-term investing, company matches, or for the most part have come back.
Yep.
They might not have been as significant as they were, say, before the recession, but a lot of them are bringing them back, and they're looking to create long-term employment. So what a wonderful savings tool. And, what oftentimes we hear is, well, I'm not going to participate in my 401k account or plan because my employer doesn't match. We say to ourselves, take a step back and say, that's silly. All you're doing, Harry, at the end of the day, who are you hurting?
Hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Because that match isn't there, so it's not going to be as much. But you could already you're losing that every time you don't take advantage of the benefit.
Harry, when we do retirement planning seminars and we talk about 401k plans, the average retiree today, 20% of their income is derived from Social Security. So where does the other 80% come from?
Okay.
It comes from your savings, your pension, your 401k, your after-tax money, part-time work, inheritance. I mean, so, it's a scary thought, and I think what happens is it's like a lot of us don't like to go to the doctor because we have this fear of finding out that something might be wrong.
Yeah, which is the worst thing you could do.
So this is sort of the same thing. Well, I'm not going to plan my future because I'm kind of scared of what the results are going to be.
And Chuck, not to scare anyone, but the days of believing that you could just work until retirement age and that Social Security would be enough, that you would still have a good, lifestyle in retirement, that's not really the case anymore.
Well, Harry, if you maximize your Social Security at $2,500, $2,600, $2,700 a month, I think is the average number. With a spouse, so you're $5,000, a month. That doesn't. I'm not necessarily sure that's going to get you where you need to be at the end of the day. If you had a pretty robust, earning stream over your lifetime.
Now, what it'll do is it'll make you have to continue to work. Then you have to look at. There's always a question I get mixed up about, Chuck. If you get to the maximum retirement age, can you work unlimited, or can you only work a certain amount?
You can work, but it's a matter.
But they start to tax it after a certain
it's a matter of what percentage of your Social Security is going to be taxed, and it's like anything else. I had that same question with another client, and I am not an accountant, so we called one of our referral sources, and he was good enough to do the projection to say, okay, here's where we think the taxes are going to be if your client decides to continue to work for the next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever. And I think that's something that all of your listeners should definitely do.
Yeah, without a doubt. Chuck, a topic that I don't think you've ever had on your program before. Were you? And I'll give you an extra minute or two if you want to talk about it. Were you wanting to talk about a stress test for the government?
Well, I do, Harry. I don't think.
I love that.
I mean,
topic.
I don't think
because we hear about the banks having to pass a stress test.
I don't think a minute's going to really do justice.
Want to take a couple minutes?
No, so we'll spend a couple minutes on this, and I'll kind of give you sort of a summation rather than get into a lot of the details. Yeah. So as we just talked about, the Federal Reserve just finished their annual round of the bank stress tests. The banks all passed, meaning they had enough capital to withstand a massive financial shock and in a deep recession. Think about what these stress tests are, why they happened. They're the result of a political result, Harry, of the government blaming banks,
right,
and not Fannie and Freddie for the 2008 panic,
right,
and are designed to prevent another market failure as we kind of get into the future.
They were making financial institutions do deals that we're doomed.
Yeah, so the idea that free markets have a tendency on their own to lurch into these panics, recessions, or depressions, but if the federal government really wanted to develop these stress tests to help maintain prosperity, we think it'd be a lot better if they kind of stress test themselves, if they can do that. I don't know how you do that, but
they will never do that though,
and not the banks. So the biggest
and they would fail the stress test.
Yeah. So the biggest threat to prosperity, Harry, has never been the market failure. It's been the government failure. So think about this: markets didn't fail in the Soviet Union, North Korea, Puerto Rico, Detroit, or Illinois. Who failed? The government failed. So there are three types of failures within the government. Policies, even though they're well intentioned, often cause really, really poor investment decisions that either lead to these panics or the depressions that some accuse the free markets of causing, or simply lowering the lower term growth potential of the economy. The government, what do they do? What do they do in Illinois? What do they do in New Jersey? They kick the can down the road. So we're doing that again. And the fact that government, which claims to know how to keep private companies from collapse, can't stop their own entities from collapsing because they don't operate like businesses. So that's sort of a summation.
Good. It's really good.
I'll probably get some hate mail like you are going to get.
You should.
As we chat about this, but because there's obviously a lot of government employees, but at the end of the day, the government needs to do their job.
I mean, look, the government set up rules that financial institutions have to pass these stress tests. They all did. If they ever had to pass a stress test of their own, they would fail miserably.
It would be awful.
Do you realize, Chuck, we are literally just barely into the second half of 2017. Does everybody out there understand that your Congress only has 33 working days for the whole second half of a year? Now, in fairness, I know Lobiondo is always doing stuff in constituent service and all of that, but we're talking about literally 33 working days, and we wonder why nothing gets done.
Yeah, it's
Can you imagine, Chuck, if you said you had 33 working days? You're going to work 33 working days in the next 45 days, probably, knowing you.
I think you're being light with that, Harry. 33 out of 45. I know you would get certainly penalized for that.
Yeah, that's true. I meant
maybe 40 out of 45 is more like it.
Yeah, and that even is probably in your case not accurate. But 33 in 6 months.
Yeah, it's a great gig, Harry. But it's like somebody's
pension for life, $176,000 a year.
It's like your callers in the last hour said, "We'll run for governor and get elected."
Yeah. You can go on the beach. Chuck,
Harry,
you're best.
Thanks for having me. Enjoy the rest of your week, okay?
Thank you. It feels like a short week.
It feels, right? I can't figure out what day of the week it is. I can't believe it's Wednesday.
If you had to guess, I said this at 6:05 this morning, doesn't it feel like maybe it's Monday?
It does. Yeah, because you had that half day.
Even yesterday when I was planning, I have to write a column for New Jersey Lifestyle Magazine. I'm going to be writing a column for the Current and the Gazette newspapers. And I even yesterday started thinking like which days I would be doing that, and I was all mixed up at what day it was.
Yeah, I woke up the other day. I said, well, it's Saturday, but it's really Tuesday.
I know, it's crazy.
All
Chuck,
right, Harry,
thank you.
Have a good week. Talk to you.
See you. For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck Malamut, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office for all of your financial planning needs. Dial 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. Very happy to tell you this portion of our program also brought to us by Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. Live entertainment 7 days a week at Landshark Bar and Grill and Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. At Landshark Bar and Grill, $3 margarita happy hour. That's Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. until closing. You can enjoy $3 domestic drafts. Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, wonderful specials as well. That's 5 o'clock because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, happy hour. And that's daily 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. All kinds of reduced adult beverages. Bar 1, ditto. That's daily from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Entertainment galore. The Yardbirds. This Friday, 2 days from now. Lauren Elena, next Friday, the 14th. Christopher Macchio, this has been added. Sunday, July 15th. So talented. You have Haley Reinhart with Dave Damiani and the No Vacancy Orchestra on Friday, July 21st. You have My Big Gay Italian Funeral on Friday, July 28th. And then you have great entertainment that continues throughout summer 2017 at Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City. Jim Belushi and the Board of Comedy, Saturday, July 29th at 8 p.m. The Revolution, Friday, August 11th, 9 p.m. George Benson, who I love. Remember The Greatest Love of All? Saturday, August 26th, 8 p.m. Jeffrey Osborne, another legend, Saturday, September 9th at 8 p.m. And, of course, the wonderful promotions. I just launched Chuck Seary with something that I just said. That is crazy. Not mine, his. Wait till Chuck sees that when he comes back in. Chuck just stepped out for a minute. The $2 million Flip-Flops Fever game. Play daily now through September 4th, noon to midnight. 2017 Camaro Guaranteed Sweepstakes. Earn entries now at Resorts Casino Hotel in Atlantic City through August 27th. You earn entries by playing your favorite slots and table games while using your Star card at Resorts. And the giveaway day is Sunday, August 27th at 4 p.m. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
What's summer without cookouts and picnics? But nothing ruins a party quicker than a bout of food poisoning. An estimated 48 million people contract foodborne illnesses each year, and that can lead to trips to the hospital and, in severe cases, even death. Foodsafety.gov has 4 easy steps to make sure our food is safe, and they are clean, separate, cook, and chill. After washing our own hands, we need to make sure we're working on a clean cooking and cutting surface. Avoid cross-contamination by preparing raw meat, seafood, poultry, and eggs separately. Use a food thermometer and make sure food is cooked to its proper temperature. Refrigerate foods within 2 hours after eating. And have a cooler with ice on hand and store leftovers in there at a picnic. Now you're ready to eat safely. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, brought to you by Atlantic Care. Healthcare you can believe in.
This is Harry Hurley, and I'm with the Mayor, Charles Kane, owner and operator of the Auto Plaza, Egg Harbor Township. Mayor, tell your listeners who are looking for a car, why should they choose the Auto Plaza?
Harry, it's our full-service department, selection, and hassle-free financing alternatives that have set us apart for over 17 years. Over the years, we've been the recipient of many sales and service awards, as well as receiving an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. It's been a real honor for us. We are now serving a second generation of sales and service customers. Stop in today. You're going to love our staff and experience what makes us different.
For all of your automobile service, parts, and sales needs, call the Auto Plaza at 609-646-2447. That's 609-646-2447. And visit us on the World Wide Web at myautoplaza.com.
The Auto Plaza at English Creek. Roll with Mr. Tire.
This summer, make your escape to Resorts Casino Hotel for hot summer fun. With live entertainment and great promotions, every day is filled with fun. Play daily for your chance to win the $2 million Flip-Flop Fever game. Then, cool off with frozen drinks at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville. Grab a bite on the beach at Landshark Bar and Grill. Or treat yourself at award-winning gourmet restaurants Capriccio and Gallagher's Steakhouse. Plan your summer at resortsac.com/HSF. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
We're just a minute before the top of the hour. When we come back, it's going to be wide open forum the rest of the way. If you missed it, I am going to share my commentary that I unveiled on Independence Day yesterday at 12:24 p.m. Because it was epic. And I did not do it to incite, but I knew as soon as I unleashed my commentary about Governor Christie that the onslaught, and I had pretty much projected in my own mind in advance. And again, I didn't do it to work anybody up. I took a position that was counter to what was going on. I believed it was fair. I believed it was the right thing to do. I do believe it was the loyal thing to do as a friend. But also, I believe that what was going on was completely over the top and disproportionate to reality. So I'm going to share my commentary with you. And the last time I did it, the phone lines literally blew up, but we only had a few minutes to take maybe 2 or 3 calls. We'll get your response and, of course, anything that you want to talk about in Wide Open Forum. It's Hurley in the Morning, fourth quarter, begins right now.
104.1 WPGG Atlantic City, WSJO 104.9 HD2 Egg Harbor City. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
How will we deal with North Korea? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. A reporter shouted that to President Trump before he took off this morning for his second foreign trip, and the president replied, "We'll do very well." Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
As the president left the White House, he took to Twitter to weigh in on the North Korea crisis, writing, "Trade between China and North Korea grew almost 40% in the first quarter. So much for China working with us, but we had to give it a try." Just a day earlier, the president